Ways to effectively measure the ROI of traditional advertising mediums. Guys, what's going on? David Feldman-Makrias here. And today is going to be a little bit different. We normally talk about Google Ads stuff, Google Analytics stuff, stuff for car dealers, stuff for e-commerce businesses, stuff for agency owners and freelancers. But I wanted to touch base on something about traditional advertising. Now, traditional advertising, obviously in the agency space, if you're a digital rep and traditional rep or both, there is a balance between the two, more like a tension between the two. Which one should you do? So on and so forth. Over the last decade or so, it's been a heavy push to digital advertising. Why? Because it's more cost effective, it's more trackable, and that's where the eyeballs are going. Those are the main three reasons why we're seeing that. However, with that being said, what can we do to measure the impact of traditional advertising? How can we do it? What are some different, unique ways to measure the success and show that some mechanisms of traditional advertising is worth it? So let's get into it right now. I had ChatGPT help me out here to get some more creative ideas, and we're going to make a nice comprehensive list. I have a few ideas of my own based off of what I've seen. All right, so I typed in the question, give me the most effective ways to measure the ROI of traditional advertising like newspaper, print, TV, radio, measuring for a local car dealership. Just as an example, but we could take the same principles and apply them to different businesses and industries. So it gave us a couple of good things, actually a lot, right? Unique phone numbers or URLs. This is a great way to do it, right? If you have a piece of mail or a billboard, or even if you're still doing newspaper for whatever reason, in certain classified ads, yeah, people may think, wow, the newspaper, who really reads that? But certain demographics and certain classified ads actually may be very niche specific and cost effective. So using a unique phone number that is targeted for that will actually show how many people are actually calling from that. If you're directing them to the website, then a unique URL, probably a UTM tracked URL or a base URL that is completely different from your main URL. And then you can pick that up in Google Analytics. Now, one of the other, so I'm going to put this is yes, that is definitely a great way to measure. And that gives me another idea. Oh, let's paste without formatting. That gives me another idea about actually going into analytics and measuring website activity. So it's been made that traditional advertising brings in awareness, especially if we're talking about TV, television, or radio. You know, with the bridge of OTT or over the top with connected TV, there are a little more trackable or a little more ways to be able to track results and estimate analysis of data points, but nothing's really guaranteed. So with traditional advertising, and dare I throw in digital TV platforms, an uptick in website activity has been a go-to, right? How do we translate to something that's trackable? So what does that look like? That would be something that looks like, what spikes did we get in analytics? So if I go in and look at Google Analytics, here's a screenshot here of a potential example. This is GA4, and I'm just using Google Analytics as a base tracking, right? Something that everyone can use. It's free. I'm looking at direct traffic. Now, direct is when someone types in your URL automatically to the bar. But I feel like nowadays, a lot of direct traffic is actually repeat users to the website, because when you go to the URL bar at the top, it's usually the ones that autofill, right? Not necessarily someone typing out each letter all the way for, www.blah.com. I don't think that happens as much anymore. Direct is more repeat users, but any spike or fluctuation in direct traffic or Google organic traffic or any organic search engine traffic on analytics inside your source medium report would be another effective way to measure. Now, are you going to see big spikes? I'm not sure. It really depends on what type of campaign you're doing. But you also have to take into account that other things may impact your direct and organic traffic. such as search engine optimization, such as, retargeting that's not appropriately UTM tracked. So there's a lot of other things that can be sourced inside direct and Google Organic or any organic source medium. So those are some things to be aware of. But one way you could do it is if you have specific air times on, radio, TV, connected TV, you could measure those specific air times and windows after, because not everybody looks it up right away. You could measure certain windows after to see, okay, did people actually go to the website from our advertising, so on and so forth. And that's where that unique URL would be really helpful. So unique phone number or URLs is really helpful. And then you can validate with Google Analytics or other website tracking software, website analytics tracking software. Okay, so what are some other ones? Coupon codes or special offers, of course. I mean, if you have coupon codes or special offers for specific departments, or if you wanted to say, hey, call this person, Mrs. A or Mr. B, or you can designate a little, specific name that only would be tracked with that medium, that'd be another way you can help track traditional advertising ROI. I also see, billboards. This is a little bit not safe, but billboards with QR codes, right? So you can take out your phone and scan it, just drive safely. QR codes can also use specific URLs and direct people places, and you can scan with certain apps the amount of QR code scans that you have to measure each station and what the intended item is. So I'm going to say this is great. Coupon codes are special offers. I'm also going to add to it, though. I'm going to add QR codes. That's another great way to do it, too. And here's the thing, too. Traditional metrics like frequency and reach, it's not super trackable, but the amount of time someone heard your commercial, heard or saw your TV ad, those actually matter. And I would say traditional advertising plays a part in business advertising for companies that can afford it. Digital, meaning Google, Facebook, Twitter, so on and so forth, more cost effective, but also more saturated. There is something to be said about traditional advertising ROI as far as being more blue ocean. Again, it's more expensive typically, but there's not as many people utilizing it, and there still is a valid audience. One nice bridge between the two is connected radio or connected TV, which is sort of the bridge between digital and traditional. People still utilize their TVs. It's just in different ways. They may not necessarily watch news stations and local cable, but they do watch other connected platforms such as Hulu, Prime Video, Netflix, and Peacock, and other ones as well. We can't always advertise on all of those third-party connected assets, but certain ones you can. Hulu actually has its own ad platform, similar to how Google and Meta work with their ad platform, where you can actually make the buys and put a spend on Hulu. Pretty nifty. So again, if you're trying to explore the traditional advertising realm, I would recommend you actually explore those connected TV and connected radio assets as a bridge between them. But anyways, let's keep going. The real reason I started this, first let's go into ChatGPT and make sure. Sales data analysis, I'm going to get into that one. Foot traffic analysis, so actually counting the amount of foot traffic. So these two, I'm going to say sales data / foot traffic analysis. We actually, you can run a report on your customers. For example, we in the past 6 months have been associated with an agency that has specific campaigns going after a specific demographic. Okay, So within that, we actually, to help attribute, we actually went inside their CRM, our customer relation management software, and we counted the amount of surnames, right, that fit that demographic. And even though it's not 100% accurate, it shows some influence, right? So this is the example report we have. And this is just a total tally of the amount of names that actually match the actual demographic we were advertising towards. Now, there was no digital advertising in this realm, it was all traditional. So, again, that's your sales data and foot traffic analysis. And any advertising agency that's worth its weight should provide, especially traditional mediums, should provide some of these different options to validate what you're doing. So this falls into the sales data and FOT. No, not FOT. It's foot traffic analysis, because it gives some actual numbers to the influence. And as you can see, in these months are a little bit out of order, but September they had 278 of this demographic. Then in October, 347, November 373, December 369, and January 402. Slight increase. So, I mean, that targeting is showing or yielding some sort of influence, right? Again, it'd be best to make a list of other factors that are extraneous that actually, would unvalidate those results, but it's good assumptions to have, and it's some sort of method of tracking. Competitive analysis. Compare your performance with competitors in the local market. If you're not advertising on certain traditional channels, but you are, and you're seeing positive results. So that's kind of just hearsay. Sales analysis, of course. We always do sales analysis, whether it's traditional or digital. Cost per acquisition. Yeah, I mean, that's always a good one too. And I'm utilizing this more in digital advertising too, because tracking is, as it's becoming less and less reliable on major advertising platforms like Google and Meta, we have to use something like this. How much have we spent versus how many new customers did we have? So I love that. I love a CPA. CPA, cost per acquisition. How much did we spend versus for each new customer we received? So that's a great way to do it. And then this one, especially for dealers, is hard. In any lead generation business, I feel as though is a little more challenging. It's easier with e-commerce businesses because things are just more trackable. But what is your lifetime customer value? Customer lifetime value. I think that the best way, if you haven't started with this, is try a back of the napkin approach. Sketch out, what you've seen the averages are, and then, you have some sort of number, and having some sort of number to track anything, even if it's weighted with a lot of averages, is better than nothing. So guys, that is pretty much it. Shorter conversation. Wanted to bring it up. These are some different ways to track traditional advertising ROI, and hopefully this provided some value. If you have other ways or had any comments about this, please drop some comments down below, and I'd be happy to go over that and give my feedback from what I've seen. Thank you so much. Again, David Feldman-Makrias here, and we'll see you next time.